It's just a part of the game. The longer you play, the higher chance you're going to hit that wall. You're going to feel like, I'm cool on that. Or, I'd rather do something else. That's totally okay. But in this video, I want to acknowledge some of the potholes that leads to the feeling of I lost love for the game. But I also want to give you some advice on how to get out of those potholes so you can get around it and continue to play if that be your desire. But I want you to look at it from a different frame, a different lens. I don't want to be looking at it like, oh, you're being a quitter, or oh, you're being weak, or oh, you're not as competitive, or you're not. No. Every player, even the players you look up to, have fallen into this. So let's get into it. The first thing, you are confusing the metrics of success of that particular sport and your metrics of success. It is important, it is vital, imperative that you, at the very beginning, you have to dictate what success looks like for you. Because if your idea of success is only championships, is only MVPs, is only whatever the man-made trinkets that you can get playing your sport, only a scholarship, only this, making a team. If it's only those things, you're going to be beholden to those outcomes, and that's going to creep into your own self-worth. And what I'm telling you is, I'm not saying that those things aren't good, but I'm saying that those shouldn't be your only reasons for playing. Because ultimately, that's up to someone else in control. Don't get me wrong. You can work hard, you can put in work and still not get those things. And there's some people out there that don't work as hard as you, but they're just as talented as you. And they got those accolades. They got those trophies and MVPs. Does that mean they're more worthy to be happy? Does that mean they're more worthy of that goal? I don't think so. I know there's a narrative of like, these are the people that stayed in the gym and first one in the gym and the last one to leave. I know it sounds good on the commercial when you want to sell a brochure, when you want to do some type of montage doing the championships or whatever of how people got there. I know it sounds good, but at the end of the day, you got to come up with your own metrics. You got to figure out what that looks like for you. I can't tell you what that looks like for you, but you got to figure that out for yourself, because you don't want to be held on the standard of solely of just, well, since I didn't get a championship, I guess I'm a failure.
And think about it from a practical standpoint. There's only going to be 1% that actually wins the championship. 1% that gets that Newcomer of the Year award. One person, one team occupies that. So does that mean that no one else deserves to be happy? Does that mean that everyone else is a failure? Does that mean no one has nothing to bring from this other than that? So 99% of everyone involved in this sport needs to be upset, needs to be unhappy, needs to feel like a failure. I don't think so. And if you have that mindset, you're going to limit yourself, and it's going to feel too many years after that, you're going to feel like I'm losing love for the game.
A pothole that could also lead to this feeling of I lost the love for the game is not communicating. I always tell student athletes, failure to communicate allows me to imaginate. And imaginate may not be a word, but you get the idea. And that is, when you don't communicate your thoughts, your intentions, your goals with your teammates, with your coaches, with your support staff, and you assume that they know, because it's just common sense, everybody should know this, you leave yourself out to be disappointed. And enough disappointment over the years makes you say, why am I even here? I don't even want to do this anymore. So what I'm telling you is, understand that failure to communicate allows someone else to imaginate, meaning I start to imagine why you're not doing the thing that I think that you should be doing that I never discussed with you, but I have it conjured up in my mind of why you didn't do it. And I think it's because I'm bald-headed. I think it's because I'm black. I think it's because you don't like people from this school. I think it's because you don't like people that this tall. Whatever you conjure up in your mind is not going to be helpful for you on that team or you in that space. And this is a thing that, this is a principle that's not just for athletics. It's just for life in general. I mean, you can take it even as it relates to your roommate. Even if you have a roommate and you have this idea of like, how people should live based off how you was raised, and this person doesn't fit into that mold, and you didn't communicate these things. I don't care if it's like this person sits on my bed, lays on my bed, eats my food. Some people's household, that was cool. Some people's household, that's not cool. But if you don't communicate those things, how can you get bent out of shape about this if you never had the conversation? What I'm telling you is you got to have the conversation. What I'm telling you is to avoid this pothole, you have got to have this conversation no matter how difficult it is. Now, I will tell you word from experience is this. When you have this conversation, you gotta take a temperature of the room. And you need to make sure that if I'm going to have this conversation, sometimes I need to have a one-on-one conversation. Sometimes if I have this conversation, it doesn't need to be in front of everybody because there's egos exposed and it could be a bigger ordeal than what it is. So, you got to be mindful of these things, but understanding that communication is key, and failure to communicate can get you a lot more frustrated than you need to be to handle something that's pretty just simple if you just would have had a conversation. Number 3, the next pothole I want you to avoid is paying too much attention to what's on someone else's plate that you forget to eat what's on your plate. Understand that, yes, I know it's tempting to deal, to compare and to see what everybody else is going and doing. But I'm telling you this, you have an opportunity based off what's on your plate. And you got to maximize that. And if you don't maximize that, you mess around. If you looking at somebody else's food too long, your food's going to get cold. You got to make sure you maximize what's on your plate, that you eat what's on your plate, that you take care of what's on your plate. You say grace for what's on your plate. You're thankful for what's on your plate and not necessarily worried about what everybody else has going on. And I say that because, okay, I'll just put myself on the chopping block. When I think about me coming out of high school, I thought I was a better basketball player than I was. Okay, I was going to go to the University of Kentucky. I was going to play for this particular coach. Fact of the matter is I was not a Division I athlete. Fact of the matter is I needed to go to JUCO, redshirt 1 year, and then I got every year paid after that. But think if I would have had that mentality of, oh, this person got this. Well, I don't want to eat what's on my plate because this person got that. I want to get what they order. Well, that's not what they're serving you right now. You got to do what's best on your plate now. And if you have room for more afterwards, then we can talk about that. But finish what's on your plate right now. What I'm telling you is, if you don't do that, it's easy to lose love for the game because now you feel entitlement. Now you feel like this is what I deserve. Now you feel like this person is getting something that I worked for. What I'm telling you is you got to focus what's on your plate, what's in front of you right now. That doesn't mean you can't get a serving of that cheesecake that person got over there after you get finished with what you got going on right here. That doesn't mean that. But it does mean that you got work to do right now based off the plate that you have in front of you. And if you're not a good steward of what is being provided for you, and I say provided intentionally because it could all be taken away. It could all just fall apart. If you're not a good steward of that, it'll be easy to lose it. So think about that when moving forward. Like, am I really positioning myself to come to this with a spirit of gratitude and to maximize what's on my plate? Or am I just so captivated by what someone else has going on that I can't even appreciate what I have? Therefore, I lose love for the game because I don't feel like the game is doing me right. I don't feel like it's giving me what I deserve. Number 4, this may be a controversial one for you. But my 4th one is an easy way to lose the love for your sport is when you don't broaden your perspective, your interests, your time with other things. Now, I'll get a lot of flack about this because there's a lot of people, they'll say like, you got to eat, sleep, drink your sport and you got to sell yourself to it. And these are the same folks that say that and then wonder why student athletes don't have a sense of self once they're done playing their sport. These are the same people that tell you, you got to be the first one in the gym, the last one to live, last one to leave the gym. And you got to punt your sacrifice your social life, and you just got to be all in this thing. And then you look up and your eligibility is up and you're just like, man, I don't have any relationships. I don't have any interests. I don't have any hobbies. What am I without the sport? So what I'm telling you is I'm not saying don't work hard at your sport. When it's time to grind, it's time to grind, right? But at the same time, you are a human being. You've got to make sure that you invest time in other aspects of your life. If it's whatever it is, don't let anybody demonize you, try to make you feel like you're less competitive or no foolishness like that, right? So I don't give a doggone if it's playing Legos, Pokemon Go, Legions of, Legions of Dragons. Some of the student athletes at the previous university played this. But anyway, LARPing, going out to parties, kickbacks, like whatever that thing is to you to help you feel whole. Again, you want to be responsible, but you want to prioritize that as well. You want to be responsible in the sense of that it doesn't jeopardize your time being a student athlete, but you still want to engage in those things. Okay? Video games, whatever those things are, the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a box of, I just play soccer. I just do this. And then when you look up and soccer's not there anymore, then you have nothing. You have nothing. Okay? I think it's important for you to invest in other areas. I think it's important for you to invest in relationships around campus, for people that don't even care about your sport. For people that couldn't give a flying flip about your sport. These are the places that you need to make sure that you invest time in, whether it be organizations, whether it be clubs, whether it be community service. I don't know. Do you like hiking? Do you like biking? Do you like fishing? Do you like just to relax? What are some things that you enjoy doing? Is it more academic in nature? If that's the case, then cool. Invest in time in that. Don't let anyone gas you up into believing that you're less of a competitor if you don't put all your eggs in a freaking sport. It is a trap. It is not something that you need to be doing. You can still, it's this guy, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Y'all can look it up. He's the, I feel bad, like I don't even watch basketball now. Joker. They call him Joker for Denver Nuggets. And if you go back, you'll see some of his videos when they won a championship, and he was like, I got to do all these interviews. Like, he was not happy about it. He's like, I'm trying to get back home. I want to race my horses. I want to do, and it was blowing people's mind that he had a life outside of freaking basketball. And this is an NBA basketball player for the Denver Nuggets. This is an NBA basketball player. And he's like, let's hurry this up. I got a life outside of this, and I think you should have a life outside of sports. It is healthy. It is healthy for you to have a life outside of your sport. No matter how you love the sport, this is not an indictment against you not being competitive enough. And that is all foolishness, okay? You should have a life beyond your sport. And if you don't, you need to find it before your sport is over. Find what other interests you have. Leverage your sport for people that are doing things that you're kind of interested in, because they're probably gonna rock with you because you're somewhat of a celebrity. I don't know if nobody told you this, but you're somewhat of a celebrity being a student athlete, because you're an ambassador for the university, ambassadors for the school. So people will work with you. So leverage that. If you're into, like, I don't know, whatever it is, scuba diving, I don't know what it is, fill in the blank. You need to make sure you invest in this now, okay? All right, number 5. Another pothole. This is my last one. Pothole that can lead to you feeling like I don't have love for the game is something sometimes you can't avoid this. I saved it for the last, and that is getting hurt. Injury. I get it. Being on the sidelines, watching people play the game, you want to be out there. You're like, I don't know if I like it like this. I keep getting hurt. Maybe this is God's way of saying this ain't for me. I don't know. Like, I get it. I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. Listen. I'm here with you. What I would say also with that is maybe playing the sport isn't maybe playing the sport isn't your end all be all. But what you learn through playing the sport, you never know what options, what doors may open because of you playing. Sometimes it could be in a sport. Maybe it could be on the staff side of sports. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe it's not a coach. There's literally so many different aspects of athletics other than being a coach and being a player. It will blow your mind, okay? And maybe you have an inside perspective of that, of the game, building those relationships, catapults you in a way that now you can jump in one of those situations. And I know a lot of people, they deem making it professional as making it. Let me submit something to you right quick. There are some high-paying positions that you can have within athletics that is making it, okay? Shoot, now that I say that, there's some positions that of all salaries that is making it. If you're doing something that you enjoy doing around people you enjoy doing it with, that's making it. All right, so I need you to just change your perspective as it relates to injury. I know how tough it is. I know that it's a letdown. I know that it's easy to lose a love for it, but I want you to change your perspective and say, okay, not only what can I learn from this, but what other areas of athletics can I focus on that maybe I want to go into afterwards? You see injury doing a lot of things for professional athletes in a positive way. You think about some of the most athletic players. They were a great player, but when they got injured, it forced them to refocus and reframe on how they can be effective. They started being smarter. So once they got back in the game, they started being smarter about how can they be efficient? How can they be effective? And that wouldn't have happened if they wouldn't have gotten hurt, because if they didn't get hurt, they would have still have just been leaning upon the athleticism. But getting hurt can be a blessing from that regard, because now they can add some other tools to the tool belt, some other angles of the game. And that's something you can do as well. Aside from that, you think to yourself about having a different lens and really thinking about support staff positions that you could be a part of as well. The main thing is not feeling like your value is tied into you playing a sport. That's one of the biggest traps ever. This is something you do because you enjoy doing, or you do because it can afford you opportunities to get your school paid for or be a part of a team or whatever. But it's not who you are as a person. And if you ever feel like you're putting all your eggs in one basket of this is who you are as a person, you got to recalibrate. And the best time to do that is before you get done playing. Because there's tons of people out here that they never thought about this until after they got done playing. You can see it. You can see the despair on their face. You can see it that they have nowhere to go. And some of these people, they try to do the next best thing and try to be a coach. And there's nothing about being a coach. I put coaches up there with the most noble professions you can have. I put them up there with doctors. I put them up there with firemen, nurses, pastors, pediatricians. I already said doctors, but you get the idea. Like they are up there for the ones that are in the profession for the right reasons. But we got to be honest. There's some people that are in that profession because they didn't know what else to do, because they didn't focus on other aspects of their lives that they had interest in while they were a student athlete. And I don't want that to be you.
Hoop Loud E.